G'day, Simon. How
Oh,
are you going?
yeah, good.
Thanks very much for coming back. How did you go? Was today a driving day or did you catch a train?
Train today.
Train, yeah. All good?
Oh, it's just so hot out there.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? It's
Really hot.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
No line closures?
No.
No? Okay, good. Excellent. Well, okay, I've got to know. How did you go? Did you ask Nina out?
Yep, I did. Yep.
And?
She said yes.
That's great. Well done. Well, fantastic. You seem happy about that?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Excellent.
That was good.
Okay, well, we've got about 10 minutes available to us now. When we last got together, you mentioned a little bit about that you'd like to work on some strategies for managing maybe some anxiety in social settings, maybe particularly around girls. Is that still what you'd like to discuss today, or is there something else you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, no, yep, I think that still stands, yep.
Yeah, okay, great. Excellent. Well, I guess the obvious place to start is the Nina situation. Take me through it. What happened after 8?
Yeah, so we were at school or at uni and we had the same class and finished class, and normally a few of us hang around and talk, but today it was just the two of us talking about a textbook that I had to go and borrow from the library, and I asked her out then.
Wow. Okay. You were quite anxious about that when we last spoke. How were you at the time?
I was pretty good at the time. I did it without thinking about it, and I felt really good at the time, and she had a big beautiful smile and said
Nice.
yes, and we're going to dinner and a movie on Saturday.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you'd still like to talk a little bit about some of the anxiety you feel in social settings?
Yeah, well, I guess.
Can you take me through that a bit?
Yeah, well, to give Nina use Nina as an example, like whilst I was asking her out and when she said yes, and then when we kind of planned it, it all sounded great, and then I got on my bike to ride back to the share house, and I then got really nervous and anxious and like, oh, that was probably stupid because now I'm going to be in a cinema setting with her, which is fine because I don't have to talk, but actually going out for dinner, that's a couple of hours of conversation. And I suppose I just feel like I could just feel my heart beating, pounding, and just getting stressed and just more anxious about it.
About the idea of the conversation or something?
Yeah, about the idea of the conversation, about just managing my anxiety, not getting tongue-tied, increase in heart rate, not saying something stupid, not making a fool of myself. Yeah.
Okay, a few things there to touch on. Firstly, just to make an observation, as soon as I saw you, I could see how upbeat you were. Clearly very happy about Nina saying yes and asking her out.
Yeah.
And then when we start talking about the date itself, the next hurdle,
Yeah.
a bit of anxiety creeping in. Is that a fair summation of where you're at?
Yes, it is.
Yeah? So tell me more about that anxiety.
Yeah, I don't know, I don't go on dates.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Have you ever been on a date?
well, probably not. I sort of, I guess at I went to a co-ed high school, so there were girls around, but in year 8, these girls at school sort of started a rumour about me, like I was stalking them, which didn't go anywhere. Like the girl said it was a joke and apologised to the principal, but it kind of left me a bit scarred because I was year 8 and she I suppose just scarred by dealing with girls and women and that. Like I just left that, and then so I didn't really pursue anyone, for want of a better word. And then in year 11, I'm really close to my cousin. She went to school with me, and she had a really good friend of hers called Michaela, and she she sort of let my cousin know that she quite liked me. And we had kind of 2 or 3 months of, you know, riding our bikes together, catching up on the phone every day, you know, doing a Valentine's, you know, gift, you know, texting back and forth, all
Sounds
those.
almost like a relationship.
Yeah, and then she just out of the blue said that, you know, I was, you know, high maintenance, I was a bit stalkerish, and yeah, so I just kind of feel a bit, well, I'm just not experienced, and I'm, you know, I can feel my tongue at the moment, like I'm trying to get the words out to tell you a story, and I can feel already I'm getting I'm not just anxious.
Would you like some water?
I'm okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of things, the tongue-tied, the anxiety. What do you think's going on there?
I guess I'm nervous. Like I just, you know, I kind of like go, what if I'm concerned she's just going to have a date with me and I'm just going to be rejected, and you know, I'm not cool enough for her, and I guess it just then boils back to what I felt like in year 11 as well, like.
Okay, yeah. So you're feeling really happy, obviously, that she said yes.
Very.
But then on the other hand, there's a little bit of a fear of rejection. And
yeah, absolutely.
you talk about the high heart rate and those things.
Yeah.
Any idea what's happening inside your body when that goes on?
I suppose it's saying it's important to me.
Yeah, exactly. It shows that you care about it. Yeah, I was about to ask you, have you experienced that before?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about exams, being anxious with exams. They mattered to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess it's the same thing. I just, like, in reflection of last year, having 12 months of the boys at the house I share, it took them 12 months to get to know me, and we're great mates now. But I just don't want that to happen with Nina.
Sure.
You don't have 12 months in this day and age to get to know someone.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds almost like you're expecting Nina to discover something about you that she doesn't like.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, and if I can make a further observation or give you some further, it sounds like it's all based on past experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to, I guess, challenge in your thinking is the idea, though, that Nina is a 20-year-old woman. Okay? Nina has known you for a while, and when I say she's a 20-year-old woman, she's had 20 years to know what she does and doesn't like in a person. Sure, she doesn't know everything that she'll know when she's 40 or 80 or whatever, but she knows some things. And yeah, she's known you enough to say yes when you asked her out. That's my long-winded way of getting to that point. Yeah, she laughs at your jokes. I think there's a fair body of evidence there to say that she likes you. You like her, she likes you back.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, when you say it out loud, it all makes kind of sense. It's just dealing with it at the time and, you know, going through those motions again.
Yeah. I think there's a part of you that's expecting Nina to behave like those girls did back in year 8 or year 11 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think you would be right.
Yeah. Does that seem like a fair thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And further, you have mentioned before that, you know, you were anxious around the guys in the house, but now you get along well with them and they find you funny.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it just took 12 months, but yeah, you know, they laugh at my jokes, you know, we do stuff together, they include me.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I'm just awkward because it's not like I go out with I only go out with people I know. I don't kind of move in a circle where I'm meeting different people all the time.
Yeah.
So I guess that the whole thing about being anxious and it's just, you know, it's in top of mind.
Okay, yeah, all right. Something I'd like you to focus on too is that at the age of 20, Nina is very, very developmentally different to those girls in year 8, year 11. Yeah, I hope that gives you some what do you feel about that? That
Yeah, it makes sense now. Like, I'm still thinking of them as year 8 mean girls, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't expect Nina to be that way, nor is she probably that way. Now she's 20.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'm a different person to what I was in year 8 as well.
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, exactly. She's not that 15 to 17-year-old girl. Look, I think we're pretty much at the point where we might need to wrap this up today. A couple of things. I just wanted to run through what we've discussed today, and I'd also like you to give a little bit of thought to what you'd like to talk about next time. But so far today, we've discussed the fact that you're, excuse me, you're feeling anxiety, and that's a very, it's not an untypical response to have for someone your age and for some on an issue that really matters to you, which clearly this does. We've also made the point today that Nina is not a 15-year-old girl. She's a 20-year-old woman, and developmentally that's very different. So I imagine you might expect a very different scenario to what you've experienced in the past, because I believe that's heavily influenced your anxiety levels that you're feeling around some of these social circumstances. And I don't know how you feel about that, but certainly from where I'm sitting, that seems, again, the logical thing that would happen to someone that experiences something that's quite traumatic for you at that age. So I hope that reassures you a little bit that your anxiety is a normal response.
Yeah.
I don't like the word normal, but like a response that probably most people feel in those circumstances. It strikes me at every point you're expecting people around you to feel the worst or to discover the worst in you, but in reality they actually just discover that they like you.
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah, I guess so.
a fair summation?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what would you like to talk about next time?
I suppose just more strategies on anxiety and better communication with people I don't know.
Yeah. A bit less of that tongue-tiedness?
Yeah, just some tools.
All right, great. Well, I think we can do that, and I look forward to hearing all about the day too.
Okay,
Thanks for coming
Michael.
along
See
today.
you next week.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, what do I think worked well there? Sorry about the baseball cap. As a woman in her 50s, she finds it easier to help her cue into being a 20-year-old male. What worked well, I felt like I almost ran out of things to talk about, because I felt like we'd sort of talked about that a fair bit before. And again, I struggle with this idea that when I'm reframing or helping a client reframe or have a different view on what they're saying, that I'm leading them too much. But I guess that's a function of the shortened time, whereas I imagine in a real session, you're probably allowing that to happen more organically. But anyway, so what I've got, the notes I've got written down, Simon Lueng, session 2, today's date written down, his goals about being reduced social anxiety and awkwardness and having confidence moving forward with Nina. The topics discussed, we discussed that he was feeling very happy about his date with Nina, and we then contrasted that with the anxiety that he's feeling about the next hurdle, which is the date, and I'm imagining also in his mind a relationship if it goes to that stage. Tried to make to the point to him that anxiety, particularly his fast heart rate, even his tongue-tiedness, are signs of caring, and that they're not atypical, particularly for a young man of his age, and that his fear of rejection is at least partially based on past experiences, but equally that it's a fairly commonly shared experience that he has, and that past experience with Michaela at year 11 and a girl in year 8, that's very developmentally different to where Nina would be as a 20-year-old, and certainly by all reports, she's responded positively to being asked out. She laughs at his jokes. She seems to like him. She responded to being asked on the date with a big smile. There's a lot of evidence there for Simon to go away and feel like this is a very different scenario to last time. So I'm hoping that's what he can work with. Something that strikes me under interventions and strategies, I've got Simon is expecting Nina to find fault in him, and that we then we tried to reframe his thinking to say that basically that Nina likes him. She laughs at his jokes. She said yes to the date. She could have said no. She's very developmentally different to the teenagers that he had the bad experiences with in the past, and tried to focus his attention then moving forward on the housemates. He'd been really anxious dealing with his housemates at first, but the more they got to know him, the more they liked him, and hopefully he can take some solace out of that. And similarly, Nina, as a 20-year-old woman, will she might also find that she likes him, and he is a person that exceeds expectations or whatever it is. Okay, the developmental theories. Piaget, I thought, was appropriate here. Piaget specialised in child and adolescent development. The notion that we all as children and adolescents learn by exploring and manipulating our environments, that interaction with our environments is how we kind of we form our knowledge of the world. So there's we're assimilating and accommodating with our new environments, and that as part of that process we can develop logical thoughts and beliefs and interpretations, and almost if something happens along the way, we kind of can have blockages there, and that can mean, for example, that we might interpret things poorly, or we might interpret things egocentrically. And I think there might be a little bit of that here going on with Simon, that his past experiences have kind of made him think that when he's in a social setting, everyone's hating me, everyone's finding me not funny, and it might have just slightly distorted his realities, and that those dealings in the past are where he's feeling his anxiety. So I think that helps me as a counsellor to kind of analyse that and then implement that, and to try and help him break down some of those views about his past, and to understand that that's not necessarily going to be what happens to him in the adult world, and that he can get back onto the path of kind of doing his own exploring and manipulating of the world around him, and developing his own understanding of the world. I hope that makes sense. Thanks.